So yesterday, Venerable Jigme talked about the power of altruism, about how when we view the world through a lens of wanting to benefit others, to practice kindness, the entire experience that we have and all the choices that we make and all the outcomes that we achieve are entirely different. And I was just thinking about how one practice that we have here at the Abbey to help us build this muscle of altruism is offering service. Right? That's a major part of our practice. We spend at least 5.5 hours a day offering service if it's not a retreat time or we're not running a course. And every day, most of us say at least once, some people twice, we are grateful for the opportunity to offer service to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha and to sentient beings. And to be very honest, I have to say it's taken me close to, coming to 4 years of living here. It's taken me that long to actually start appreciating this opportunity every day. So today I just wanted to share with you some things I've learned about myself and how this practice of offering service has helped me to grow as a person and also in the Dharma. When I first moved here, offering service just really challenged my sense of identity. I was just up against all my ideas of who I thought I was. Before I moved here, I was mostly in a school. I had been a student for most of my life. I taught in a school. That was my first job. I worked as a policy maker. And if I wasn't doing those things, I was in the theater, either in the audience, on stage, or backstage. So when I got here, I was asked to do things that I had no idea how to do. And even worse, they were things that I thought I was bad at. I just thought, these are things I can't do. I'm just going to fail, period. So what were these things? Soon after I arrived, the person who was making the videos left, so that was the first thing that needed to be done. Someone said, "Can you make videos?" "No." "You're going to make videos." And my first thought was, I'm a creative person, I'm not a technical person, but you learn, right? And then everyone contributes to cooking for the community. I used to cook maybe, I think, twice a year, right? And suddenly you have to cook for 15 people? Okay, you just give it your best, right? But worst of all, absolutely worst of all, was working in the forest. Okay, there is hardly any outdoors in Singapore. I am not an outdoors person. I am the last person you pick on your team for games. All right, so being outside for many hours with equipment was like the worst thing in the world. But you do that every day. Just find a way to get up there. I didn't run away. So I just went with the group. So as you can see, offering service just pushed me up against all my afflictions from day one. And I'll always remember the winter where we were building Chenrezig Hall, and unfortunately a truck had dumped all this concrete down the meadow. And so we were called upon in the middle of winter to shovel concrete. This was for a Singaporean from a tropical country. And one of the first thoughts I had was, I am a middle-class Singaporean Chinese woman. There is no way I'm going to go out and shovel concrete. Because, immediately this is the job that low-class, non-Chinese, non-Singaporean immigrants do, right? I was like, wow, there's my prejudice right there. You have to go and shovel concrete. And I did. On days where there was just me and Venerable Soltrim, I still remember just out there breaking concrete and shoveling it. She was having a blast. I was trying to work with my mind. Okay. But you just get to see, wow, the aversion's so ugly. And what a gift, right? How else are you going to see it and work with it? And what's even harder, I think, is working with attachment. Because for me anyway, it's a lot like a fish trying to see water. It's just so much a part of my life that I can't even identify it. And for me, offering service this time, it really came up as I started to settle in the community and I ordained, and I was given one of my first responsibilities. So I was at first helping out with Venerable's website, and over time it became my responsibility. I was in charge. So to watch the mind shift, from being part of a team to, oh, now I'm the person in charge. I see. Now my reputation is at stake. It can't fail. So just to watch how it became this big thing, and I was starting to put in extra hours, and all my study time went to working on this thing, and I was obsessed with getting it done on time. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Website. It's like, Venerable just lets us run our afflictions out, right? There's really not much you can say to someone who's in the thick of the affliction. So just to watch that happen. And yes, the website got done on time. Apparently, people benefited. But what was very shocking was to finish the project and just feel very burned out and think, oh, I've done it again. Like here I am yet again, I've moved to a monastery, but the mind is still the same, right? Building up some big project that I have to succeed at, drive a team, go, go, go. And then just because of the motivation was not necessarily good, mostly worldly, I was just left feeling very tired at the end of it. And for the first time to see very clearly that I couldn't blame my boss, I couldn't blame society, I couldn't blame Venerable, I couldn't blame the volunteers. Like, what's left? It was my affliction, right? To see so clearly that all the long hours I had spent at the office was entirely because of my attachment, and that was what was going to kill me, I think, of overwork, or, you just wind up very depressed. Yeah, so that again was a huge gift, just to be able to see that and say, okay, we can stop here. Here it is, the attachment, we're not going to follow it. But I think it took at least a year or so of, going through that whole cycle again. So I would say just this whole process of offering service, coming up against all my identity stuff and aversion and attachment, I found that it's been a really helpful training in terms of preparing to die. Yeah, because I think, at least for me, I think when I die, I'm going to be scared. Yeah, all this fear of the unknown, your identity getting ripped away, and all the aversion and attachment that comes up. It's like, what am I going to do with my mind at that moment? And when I offer service, when unpredictable things happen, when I'm asked to do things I don't know how to do, that's like a small baby step where I get to practice in this regard. And in the last year, it's been really interesting. It's really come up for me in terms of learning to drive. It's really quite strange. I think I would much rather speak to 1,000 people in an auditorium than drive. Okay. When I get in the car, I just still remember the early days where like going down this little dirt road with no traffic, and I'm clutching the steering wheel till my knuckles are white. And Venerable Jigme, who's helping out, has to say, I think you can relax. I'm like, just the complete terror that comes up around something like this. Who knows, right? Past imprint, whatever. And to see how to work with it. And at first I kept making bad jokes. And that's how I deal with my fear. I'll just make bad jokes and put myself down, which Venerable Jigme pointed out is pointless and not helpful. And I went back and I thought, do I want to die like that? Making a lot of bad jokes? I really hope not. So it just helped me see, okay, you have a lot of work to do with this fear, That's what can you do? How can you calm yourself down, and talk yourself through bit by bit? And it's just taken a lot of familiarity and practice, right? Now I can get in a car and drive without feeling sick to my stomach. Have yet to pass the test, but I will. Soon, I hope. By next year. But it's also helped me a lot with understanding my own limits, having more humility and compassion for myself, and also seeing when people say they're scared, to have compassion and to listen to that, not to push people beyond their limits, which I used to be quite stubborn and try to do sometimes, or be like, that's not scary. It's like, I think that, when you have that kind of experience of fear, you see it's very real when you're in that mind state, and how to be gentle with ourselves and others when our mind's in that space. So I guess over time what I've learned, surprise, surprise, that offering service is not about me. It's not about my amazing skills and talents and abilities, my achievement, my success, my failure. It's not about me helping in the way I know how to help, and I want to help, and I want to give this to you, or even helping to feel good about myself. Offering service is just an offering. Right? Someone needs help. You're in the right place at the right time. You have some ability, and you help. That's it. But what I think is really precious, though, is that here we have the opportunity to offer service to the three jewels, and that becomes something else altogether. Yeah, I'm not making cat videos to amuse two friends, right? We're helping to edit videos of teachings that will help people work with their minds and to relieve their suffering in the very long run. Just to think about that kind of inconceivable long-term effect. Yeah, I mean, it looks like we're doing something mundane, like washing dishes or whatever, but we're contributing to a community that exists for a totally different purpose. Yeah, that's trying to create peace in our own minds in the world. And so, this is I'm just grateful these days for the opportunity to make this kind of inconceivable merit, to create the causes to transform my mind, to transform the mind to become a Buddha. And yeah, it's given me a new appreciation too of what we say every day before lunch. Yeah, may we always have the opportunity to make offerings to the three jewels. And may we receive their blessings and inspiration to progress along the path. So as you journey along offering service every day, as your mind does all its loop-the-loop and crazy trips, may we keep in mind that this is a very precious opportunity, and let's use it in the best way possible to create merit for Buddhahood